Navy's aircraft carrier Harry Truman is in the Red Sea. Yesterday, they came under attack from the Houthis.
They thought they had the perfect shot, but in 30 seconds, the hunters became the hunted. March 22nd, 2025, above the Red Sea, a clear sky, a routine patrol, and a US F-16 cruising. Then a sudden radar lock changed everything. And here's where it gets real. The F-16 pilot's day started out calm. Standard patrol, blue horizon, nothing unusual. Then a sharp tone in his headset, missile warning, an infrared-guided Syriad missile, fired by Houthi forces from Yemeni territory, had locked onto his jet's heat signature. This wasn't a drill. Within seconds, the pilot yanked the stick, rolling hard to the right, pulling a bone-crushing 9G turn. Flares burst from the aircraft's rear. White-hot magnesium meant to confuse the missile seeker. The missile swerved, tracking one of the flares, then exploded harmlessly in the air. But here's the thing. Dodging the missile wasn't the end. In the Red Sea, firing at a US fighter isn't just an attack. It's an invitation for a counterstrike. And it's not like this came out of nowhere.
Already the Houthis had aimed missiles at Israel since October the 7th, now using an array of weapons.
For weeks, the Red Sea had been a pressure cooker. Shipping tankers were rerouted. US destroyers prowled constantly. And the Houthis, they were riding high after taking down a US MQ-9 Reaper drone not long ago. That win gave them confidence. Maybe too much. They'd gotten used to targeting slow, unmanned drones. In their minds, a fast-moving fighter jet was just a bigger version of the same target. But here's where they messed up. Drones don't shoot back. An F-16 does, and it doesn't come alone. And this part blew my mind. The Pentagon had just updated the rules of engagement in the region. The memo was simple. If a US aircraft gets radar locked or fired on, it's hostile. No waiting for permission. That meant the moment the missile was fired, retaliation was not optional. It was automatic. This F-16 wasn't even flying solo for combat that day. It was part of an ISR net, scanning for threats, coordinating with assets you couldn't even see from the ground. And now, the Houthis had just painted a bright red target on their own launch site. Just when it seemed over, the threat multiplied. The pilot's radar lit up again. Not one, but multiple locks. These weren't the old shoulder-fired weapons anymore. This was upgraded SA-6 surface-to-air missile tech, courtesy of Iranian support. Instantly, the F-16 pilot dove and banked, weaving through invisible kill zones. At the same time, a Navy EA-18G Growler in the area kicked on its electronic warfare suite, jamming enemy targeting radars into static. Missile trails arced skyward, searching for a lock, but found nothing. Each one fell short, detonating far from its mark. The Houthis might have failed again, but in doing so, they gave away the one thing they couldn't hide, the exact location of their launch sites. And here's where the high-tech game kicked in. 60,000 feet above the Red Sea, a Navy MQ-4C Triton drone scanned the coast. Its sensors picked up thermal spikes from missile exhaust and pinpointed electronic emissions from radar trucks. That data streamed in real time to the Combat Information Center aboard the USS Eisenhower. Analysts cross-checked satellite imagery, triangulated radio chatter, and within minutes, they had target coordinates locked. This wasn't just finding a needle in a haystack, it was marking that needle with GPS precision for the strike package already warming up. And the response? Lightning fast. A second F-16 slid into formation to provide overwatch while the first pilot regrouped. Orders crackled over secure comms. Retaliatory strike greenlit. A nearby destroyer's vertical launch cells clanged open, revealing Tomahawk cruise missiles primed and ready. At the same time, the USS Harry S. Truman's flight deck roared to life. FAA-18 Super Hornets rolled into position. Growlers armed their jamming pods. An E-2D Hawkeye spun up its radar dome for full battle space awareness. This wasn't just payback. It was a textbook, multi-layered strike about to unfold. And then the long arm of the US Navy reached out. 4 Tomahawk cruise missiles leapt from their launch cells, skimming low over the water to avoid detection. Each one had a purpose. One for the missile launcher, one for the radar truck, one for a suspected command post, and the last for an ammo depot. Guided by GPS and onboard terrain mapping, they flew with surgical precision. In less than 10 minutes, the Red Sea horizon lit up with pinpoint detonations. The launch sites that had moments ago threatened a U.S. fighter jet were now silent craters. But the Houthis weren't just fighting missiles and jets. They were fighting ghosts. EA-18G Growlers dialed their jammers to full power, flooding the airwaves with static. Houthi radars went blind, their targeting screens turning into snow. Even worse for the defenders, the Growlers began spoofing. On enemy scopes, an entire ghost fleet appeared offshore, dozens of phantom ships that didn't actually exist. Coordination between missile crews broke down instantly as conflicting reports jammed their comms. What do you do when you can't see your enemy and can't trust your own eyes? That's exactly the chaos the U.S. wanted.
The United States is carrying out a wave of airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen. Leading the charge is the F-18 Super Hornet, a state-of-the-art supersonic multi-role combat aircraft.
And then came the hammer. From the deck of the USS Truman FA-18, Super Hornets roared in low. Each carried a mix of GPS-guided JDAM bombs and AGM-88 HARM missiles, the perfect combo for wiping out enemy radars and hardened targets. The HARMs locked onto active radar emissions, streaking in to silence them permanently. The JDAMs followed, punching through bunkers and hitting carefully marked ammo stockpiles. In the moments before impact, the defenders scrambled. Radar crews shutting down systems too late, soldiers diving for cover as the low rumble of incoming ordnance grew louder. Each strike was coordinated with precision, guided by real-time drone feeds and laser designators ensuring nothing of strategic value was left untouched. Seconds later, the coastline lit up like a chain of fireworks. Secondary explosions tore through the area, a clear sign the bombs had hit major ordnance caches. In less than 5 minutes, the Houthis integrated air defense network went from threatening to non-existent. High above, the MQ-4C Triton wasn't done. Its sensors swept the smoking coastline, reading residual heat plumes and scanning for any movement. There was none. No trucks scrambling away, no radar pings trying to come back online. The sites were neutralized completely. Real-time imagery fed back to the USS Eisenhower showed exactly what commanders wanted to see. Mission success with 0 U.S. losses, and just in case, those coordinates stayed marked in the ISR network for rapid follow-up strikes if anyone got brave enough to try again. No official press conference, no flashy Pentagon slideshow, but the message still got out. Through carefully leaked intel, news of the operation spread fast across defense circles. The world saw exactly what had happened. A full-scale, coordinated U.S. strike delivered in under an hour from first missile launch to last impact. In war rooms across the globe, satellite imagery and intercepted comms were dissected in real time. Officials whispered about the speed, precision, and audacity of the attack, realizing how little warning such a strike allowed. In Tehran, Moscow, and Beijing, analysts took note. The lesson was clear. The U.S. could hit hard, hit fast, and leave nothing standing, without a single boot touching enemy soil.
Dollar aircraft just fall overboard. Somehow the details don't add up. The Houthis, of course, have claimed victory and taken all the credit.
For the Houthis, it wasn't just about losing launchers or radar trucks. It was losing confidence. Entire weapon systems were gone, along with months of smuggled parts and training. Radar operators began to hesitate, knowing that the moment they powered up, they might have less than 10 minutes before a Tomahawk or HARM missile found them. The crews who once bragged about shooting down a U.S. drone now stayed quiet. Momentum had shifted, morale was fractured, and every future launch would come with a shadow of fear. And in modern warfare, fear is just as powerful as firepower. The operation didn't end with the last bomb drop. From that day forward, the carrier air wing shifted into overdrive, maintaining a constant armed combat air patrol over the Red Sea. FA-18s, Growlers, and Hawkeyes rotated in tight formation, their weapons hot and their radar scopes wide open. Any radar ping, any heat signature, any sign of trouble, and they were ready to engage within seconds. It was a clear message. The Red Sea was now a no-go zone for anyone thinking about taking another shot. So here's the question I've been thinking about, and I want to hear your take. If you were calling the shots, would you stop after taking out the missile launcher that fired? Or would you go all in and neutralize every radar site, ammo dump, and command center that could pose a threat? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm curious how you'd balance retaliation with escalation. One missile can start a war, but the right response ends it. The Houthis learned the hard way. When you target a U.S. fighter jet, you don't just face a pilot, you face the full might of American air power.